Welcome to Dead Man Talking. Tonight's story is part 2 from a series that started off with the story Pack Mentality, and this part 2 is entitled Wailing for a Wolf. Without further ado, let's get straight into that. The helicopter blades whirred above us as we quickly approached the LZ. The dive team would already be at the Talioke. They had already been in Canada at the time of the call, while our unit was in Mexico. It was a few months after the op in the Rockies to eliminate the werewolf pack. The call came from HQ. Residents in Talioke had been telling anyone who would listen that there was a spirit in the area and it was taking people. Usually, we don't pay attention to claims of spirits, but this one came with a name. The Akhlut. Intel decided to investigate. They sent an agent in disguise as a tourist. I knew this agent well. Redacted told me himself that he had a gut feeling that this wasn't a folk tale from the start. His hunch was confirmed when he followed local fishermen to the shore and caught a quick glance of a massive wolf staring at him. The wolf, however, had a dorsal fin. That's when the call came. We were directly picked up from the operation we had just completed in Mexico and flown to an area near Talioke. We linked up with the diver team and established that they would be referred to as Alpha and we would be Bravo. Basically, in legend, an Akhlut is a spirit that can change from wolf to orca. The transition is almost immediate, so it is able to seamlessly go from water to land. In reality, the Akhlut is a creature rather than a spirit. They are technically immortal, but so are lobsters. No, really, look it up. In the sense that they will not die from old age. They can, of course, be killed by other means. These diver teams were hardcore. Not only did they have combat supernatural forces, but they had to do it in the water, out of our natural habitat. Give me a fight in the forest any day over trying to fight sea monsters in the underwater caves. We were each given a task. The diver team would try and locate the Akhlut, and we would take it out. The diver team was to herd the Akhlut to shore, where we would be waiting with a common whale hunting instrument, an explosive harpoon. These are usually mounted on boats, but we decided that it would be far too risky to be in the open waters with that thing. It would be likely to destroy the boat before being shot off. So, we mounted it on shore and prepared for whatever followed. As we expected, that if we couldn't kill the Akhlut in orca form right away, it would likely turn into its wolf form. We took our usual kit just in case. I strapped on my ballistic vests and plates. No night vision this time. I loaded my .416 with AP rounds. This was not a time to take chances. Alright team, the boss's voice came through the comms. We are to hold position. Mountain will man the harpoon gun to try and kill this thing while it's still got gills. In the event that we have to engage on land, shoot and don't stop shooting until that thing is a fine red mist. The last team to take on an Akhlut 30 years ago was almost killed to a man. We lost 2 good men in the debacle in Colorado. Now we have 2 rookies only to have completed 1 op. Stay frosty. I couldn't tell if that last part was a joke. If it was, it didn't seem funny at the time, seeing as I was already chilled to the bone. I really hate the Arctic Circle. There was mostly silence, just the periodical check from the Alpha. Soon, it had been an hour, and in spite of the dangerous situation, we started to get bored. That's just about when our comms exploded. From all the screams, we were somewhat able to piece together the gist of what happened. It would seem Goblin, the leader of the Alpha, had been eaten whole by an orca that appeared out of nowhere, and for a few moments there was chaos while Alpha struggled to regain some kind of structure. Thankfully, a senior team member named Angler was able to gain control and had organised his team. He told us that he had awoken to a sleeping giant and it was headed for land. The boss got mounted to aim the explosive harpoon where we had predicted the Akhlut would surface. By now, we should have figured it was a lot smarter than we had planned on it being. For punishment of our assumptions, the ice next to the mountain exploded with such force it practically disintegrated. I knew that the change occurred in the blink of an eye, but I didn't count on how well the Akhlut knew how to pull this manoeuvre, because I never even saw it as an orca. Just an explosion and a wolf with a black dorsal fin standing in the snowfall of its own making. It really was a powerful scene. A giant wolf whale standing in the falling ice with ice blue eyes, and a look in those eyes that chilled me more than the Arctic air. It was smug. The fucking thing knew it had just taken us back. The fucking thing knew it had just taken us aback, and it was relishing every second. Then the scene turned from powerful to scary as the thing moved faster than something of that size should. "Sierra!" the boss yelled into his radio. Instantly training took over as we scattered and began firing into the thing from all angles. It was a fairly basic manoeuvre. We split up and fired at a large creature until it decided it hated one of us more than the others and decided to charge. Once it began to charge the member of the unit that was chosen, he ran evasive manoeuvres while the rest continued to pour fire into the back of the pursuer. If the thing decided to attack one of the people, now unloaded the mags into it and turned around, the member previously running would wheel around and begin firing. So far it had worked as we killed whatever quarry we had been chasing it. Unfortunately for us, this was no ordinary quarry. It worked for a moment as something about Doc's face made the creature want to rip it off more than everyone else's. The first part worked as Doc dove out the way as the creature leaped and the rest of us were placing shots expertly into where vital organs should be. It was really too bad though, seeing as the rounds were obviously only going about an inch in before flattened, though that's not to say the shots were unnoticed. The Akhlut lost interest in Doc and charged the middle of the rest of us. That middle happened to be one of the rookies, Canopy. He really drew the short straw. Honestly, he was a good guy. The rest of us liked to call him Redacted, based on the way his face redacted. But I could digress. The Akhlut jumped for Canopy, and he wasn't an experience as Doc. This resulted in the creature grasping Canopy's entire head in its maw and shaking his body until his spinal cord gave up and the rest of his corpse flew out of sight and into a snowbank. The Akhlut crushed his skull in its mouth and looked for its next victim. This really kicked us into gear because it didn't seem to be slowing down. Thankfully, Alpha had finally regrouped and climbed ashore and proceeded to fire shots from their harpoon guns. It did more than our shots were. The harpoon sunk into the skin of the Akhlut and acted like pilums did for the Romans. They slowed the thing down and restricted movement. This seemed to make something of Mountain's brain, as he remembered the explosive harpoon platform he had been knocked from when the Akhlut surfaced. He wheeled it around as fast as he could and thanked God, mostly because the skull-crunching monstrosity had turned its attention to me. I looked into the frosty blue eyes that had no capacity for mercy. For a small moment, it stood there, blood leaking from hundreds of holes covering its coat, harpoon sticking out at weird angles, and brain matter stuck in its glistening teeth. Then it charged. I barely had time to slide underneath when it went for its jump. It had become predictable, and that was its last mistake. Mountain judged I was far enough away and loosed the harpoon. It sunk into the chest just below the neck. Once deep enough, the explosive detonated. It would have been an amazing sight if Mountain was a good judge. I remembered a blinding light and then woke up on a medical helivac. The entire front side of my body covered in bandages that were slowly becoming dotted with dozens of red dots. Apparently, about 28 pieces of shrapnel had lodged themselves within my body. Mountain was going to get the shit for this for years if I had any say. I am expected to make a full recovery in a few months. There was an upside to my injuries though. I was able to petition HQ to let me release these stories. Part of the reason why they let me be in the next op I will post. This will take place in Mexico and is the mission we were flown from this one. I just say one thing about it. I really wish scientists in the desert would stop messing around with things that they don't understand. Just as before, feel free to ask about this op, the unit, or other ops in the comments. Wow, hope you guys enjoyed part 2. Do of course let me know down below in the comments. Please do like and share. And as ever guys, remember, be safe, not sorry.